Universal Television's Hacks has earned 15 Emmy Award nominations, including Outstanding Comedy Series, Jean Smart for Outstanding Lead Actress, and Hannah Einbinder for Outstanding Supporting Actress. Hailed by RogerEbert.com as still the best comedy on television, and praised by TV Insider as brilliant, Hacks is for your Emmy consideration. Hi, everyone. One last time before Emmy voting begins, I'm bringing you a special bonus Saturday edition of the podcast with Emmy nominee and Emmys host, Nate Bargatze. He got his first 2 Emmy nominations this year for his special that was on Netflix, Your Friend Nate Bargatze, but that really doesn't capture how enormous his career is right now. He was the #1 selling touring comedian of 2024. He's released 6 stand-up comedy specials in his career. He just finished shooting his first starring role in studio comedy. It's a movie called The Breadwinner. And he's, of course, hosting the Emmys on September 15th. Right now, he's preparing for that hosting gig while also continuing to tour as a comedian. He's truly relentless. So I asked him about how he's balancing all of that and what his relationship is with Hollywood these days. Before he became such an enormous stand-up success, he had a couple of attempts at making a sitcom about his life that didn't go anywhere. Now he's building his own digital empire with his podcast Nateland and some other projects. But he also says he's really committed to the old school Hollywood way of doing things and developing people, and he's got some really interesting ideas about why. You can hear all of that and much more in my conversation with Emmy nominee and Emmys host, Nate Bargatze. So to talk about the special to start there, I love the title, Your Friend Nate Bargatze. Like it's very straightforward. I don't know what the art of a title is, but it made me wonder if this is playing off some sense that like you've been doing stand-up long enough, you're doing a podcast. Do people feel that you are their friend and that is where this title comes from?
Yeah, it's like I try to be, I always get told I remind someone of, you're either their husband or their wife is like my wife, or I'm like their buddy, or it's that kind of thing. But some of it, too, was trying to get in the tone of just the audience, just to be like, I try to make it very conversational. And so to do that is like to kind of just set the tone of what you're about to see. Like, I'm just trying to be your friend that's like, kind of get you on that ride. So when you just feel like your buddy's talking to you and I'm taking you through funny stories and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is it harder to do that in an arena, though? I mean, the scope of just watching the special is kind of insane.
Yeah, you know what? In the round, when you're in the middle, it's pretty great. And the one thing that's great about arenas is we have these screens in there, and so I play to the cameras a lot, especially when they're doing an arena show, not even just taping, but every arena show feels like a live special taping because they are looking into the cameras. And I know people sometimes don't want to look into the cameras, but once you get past into a theater, I mean, it's hard to see anybody's face. Great. And so with this, you can do little small movements, become very funny because you're playing into the cameras and stuff like that. So it's, for as big as it is, I mean, it does feel, when you're in the middle, you're at least half the distance closer to everybody.
That's a good point.
So it's been great.
I mean, do the cameras take, you've done, TV stuff before, but like have spent so much time doing your stuff in front of a live audience. Like, how does adjusting to the cameras go? Obviously, the Emmys are coming around the corner. Like, do you learn over time to just treat the camera like a person? Is that the key?
Yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I do it every night, or, when I do these arenas is like, you have jokes and I deliver the jokes into the camera. And so the camera is kind of to them. So you kind of think of it as like that, of like who you're doing it. Where with, the Emmys it'll be like the audience. So if the camera's, kind of the audience where you can look at them and you can just use them as a tool, and then you can not use them too if you're trying not to break that wall.
Yeah. Well, the key for the Emmys, and not to make you talk too much about something that's coming up, is there's always the balance between the people who are in front of you as the audience. It's all Hollywood people. And then hopefully millions of people watching at home, which is a totally different crowd. And you've always done such a good job in your career of thinking about people who are not in New York or LA. And that's a big part of it. So do you have to split your brain in some way to do that? Or is it kind of the same as what we've just been talking about?
I mean, it's kind of the same. I mean, I want to write a balance with this, is where you want to, like kind of have that where you're acknowledging the audience that's at home. That's typically not the audience, it's in the crowd, but you don't want to do it too much. You want everybody to feel together. And I really want to try to work on trying to get that figured out. But I mean, yes, there will definitely be some like acknowledgement of them at home. But I mean, look, if you put on a great show and have fun, it's like that's what brings them in, and that's what brings the audience at home in, and where everybody feels together. If you don't try to do too much of separation, like too much like it's these people and these people, and it's like just try to be the best show you can be, and then that would kind of bring people together.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the best version of an award show, right? Is it makes everyone like it's transcends space and time in some weird way. Like everyone feels like they're in one place, and that feels like
it makes that night exciting, and that's why award shows are. They're very fun. It's something, people don't kind of forget, this is a lot of stuff. It's just something to do for the audience that's at home is they get excited about it because it's their shows, but it's like their lives are busy. So it's like, there's these little check marks. You're like, oh yeah, the Emmys are this Sunday. That'll be fun. We can sit around and watch that with some friends. And, there's these little things that you're supposed to be as entertainment. And I think that's my goal, is to hopefully get people back around and have fun, and they can enjoy a couple hours, or I don't know how long they meet. It can't be real long.
You get to decide. You want to make them long this year? Just figure it out.
Yeah, that is true. We're going to try to keep it. We're going to try to be reasonable with it.
Okay, reasonable's a good goal. Well, I like what you talked about audience a lot, that you want people to have a good time. You want people to feel comfortable. But at the same time, stand-up comedy, especially when you're first starting, is getting comfortable with bombing. Like every single person who's ever done it always says that. So even when you were just starting and maybe didn't have an audience that wanted to see you, was that always kind of in your head? Like, I want them to have a good time, even if I'm up here dying and nobody's laughing?
Well, you're trying to make them have a good time. So it gets so frustrating when you're bombing, because it's like it can't connect and they're just ready to be done. I mean, when you start off and you're bombing, you're doing 5 minutes and 8 minutes. So you're kind of just like, I just got to get out of it. I need to get off stage. Like, I'm not it for these people. But you always kind of figure it's you. I mean, sometimes it's a situation that, it could be just a weird room, a loud room, a rowdy room, or whatever it is. But you're in so many different situations that you just try to figure it out and try to find, you just got to figure out what you got to do. Like, it's when you're in it. But it's brutal. Yeah, you bomb. I mean, you get off. I was in New York City, luckily, so you go on stage a lot. So when you bomb, you could go on later that night and try to fix it, or the next day, where, it's tough when you bomb and then you don't have a show for 4 days and then you're just sitting on it.
Is that what happens for people who start more regionally? Like, there's the one comedy club in town and that's it? That sounds awful.
So, yes, I think it's getting better. Like, Nashville is really growing as a city with stand-up, and so they have shows every night. So I think some of the cities now can have shows every night where you can go do it. But then, sometimes regionally, it's like, you only have that one show, and then sometimes it's not that the other show's going to be better. That's the hard part too, because you can go find somewhere else to go up, but it doesn't mean it's going to be. You're just going to have 2 bombs. Yeah. And then,
I mean, everyone who starts off bombs in some way, but the way you've talked about being that time where you're in New York, it was like you get used to that part of it, but you're also figuring out that you're going to be different. You're going to be doing a late night show, but not telling dirty jokes, and kind of being able to stand in the thing that you did right. And I find that kind of amazing, because there's so much pressure to do this, and you get someone meeting with you, and it's like, if you change this, then maybe you'll get booked in that way. So do you remember when you figured out that you had to be true to yourself in that way, that, some people go their whole career without figuring out that they need to do that?
I remember doing a show one time, and I forget where, maybe it was Denver or something. And I followed a comedian, it was very funny. And he went up and he was very good with, he would kind of be able to talk to the crowd, talk about the room that we were in, the situation and stuff. And it felt great with the vibe, that he was so funny, and the audience and the crowd loved it. And then I was after him, and he did so good. And then so I went up after him, and then I kind of try to do that. I kind of try to be, you're like, oh, that's what they like. And I kind of try to do that, and it went really bad. And it was just And I remember going back, and then I remember getting off stage and talking to another comedian. He's like, yeah, you just got to do it. Why did you try to like be like them?
Yeah.
You're not them. Go be you. And so that was a moment that I realized that, and also when I started in New York, I would follow so many comics that were higher energy or dirty or whatever they were. They'd be very funny and they would destroy. I would have to get that crowd into my rhythm as quick as I can. So you really just so you don't bomb the whole time. I would learn to let me get them. I'd almost make them come to me a little bit instead of trying to go to them. And then that would help. So that's about like essentially when you kind of knew.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because you want to veer off along this journey because you just see, comics like really pop off and become big acts, and you're like, should I be doing that? Should I be doing this? So you got to kind of constantly remind yourself to just kind of trust what you're doing and just stay in your lane, and then, hope it works out.
Yeah. I'm from South Carolina, so I hope that means it's okay to talk about Southern accents because I feel like it can be touchy. But
I was just in Columbia.
Oh, I mean, a great city.
Yeah.
I'm from tiny town where no comedians will ever come through, which I feel like is where a lot of people grew up in the South. But I lived in New York for a long time too. And I never really had that much of an accent. It kind of was faded over time. It can come back in the right time. I wonder how you felt about your accent in that time. And if it ever changed, if you ever tried to lose it, or if it always felt kind of like it was just going to be there.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be there. I never wanted to lose it. It was a lot more when I first moved. And so there would be words I would have to, which I've talked about in my act, like oil and oil.
Yeah.
And I say feelings, like if you hurt my feelings. And so that there'd be stuff I could tell that people would have understand. Like when I tell the joke, I'm like, well, they might be like, what is he saying because of my accent? And so I would have to change the word just to something that would be obvious. So yeah, I never wanted to lose it, but you're definitely aware of it. And I think it was also something that did help, in New York, because when you first start, you got this accent, so you just sound so different.
They
so
pay
even
attention.
The audience alone, they're going to pay attention just because you sound so different.
Yeah.
And so you get a chance to kind of get them, and then you got to get them. But yeah, I never wanted it to go away, and I was gone for about 13 years, and now I've been back for 10 or something in Nashville. So you want it to be, now you're just be you. We just shot a movie.
Yeah.
And it's, there's a lot of words that in a script where I'm like, well, I don't really know. I'm going to say that word weird. And it's say it weird, man. Just say it weird.
You don't get to change it. You can't get in there and be like, look, this is what I'm going to do. It's your movie, right?
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, that's what people are buying.
Yeah.
Is for you to say that word weird. So say it weird.
Well, also, there's obviously been a lot of comics with Southern accents, but, Jeff Foxworthy's going to make his whole thing about being something really specific. And a lot of your stuff can be based on where you're from, obviously, but it's not regional in any way. And there's a way that, I don't know, it feels like you're taking a Southern accent and saying it can mean a lot of different things, which I think people from the South know, but in Hollywood, so often it's that's just the one thing that you can do. There's a freedom in it, I think.
Yeah. And that was a big part of it too, was to be when you're in New York and all this, to not be kind of just put into this one thing. Foxworthy is unbelievable. And what he did was so amazing and universal. They're a cable guy. Cable guys sold, they did Madison Square Garden. They would sell all these places out. But I know what you mean. It's where you just wanted to be, you want to be because you just know everybody here where you're you don't think of us as, down here, you're I don't know, man, I lived like you did.
Yeah.
There was nothing, we weren't on a farm or we weren't this or that or whatever. I had friends that were, and then, but yeah, so you wanted, that's what I wanted to have is with my act, just to be able to talk about the South, but I was always kind of conscious about it to not be, I didn't want that to be the punchline.
Yeah, because small towns are more like each other than like Atlanta, right? It's the regional differences are not that big. So you finished working on your movie, The Breadwinner. That's done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's getting. Yeah.
Well, the way you've talked about, movie offers, TV offers, kind of coming and going throughout your career. And then I think you've said now, you've got your own thing with Nate Land. You've you don't need to have a sitcom necessarily, but how did a movie fit into that? The way that you can kind of work on your own, but, come to Hollywood when they when the right thing is there. How have you figured that out? How's that balance feeling now?
Just them not letting me do it before. So it's just, it's definitely not like I was sitting trying to do this. I was trying to do it the other way and trying to do TV sitcoms and movies or whatever. I knew I was going to be, I auditioned a while ago. I used to go on the auditions, and I knew I was, like, I could tell then, is like, I was just, the way I sounded, the way I did, I was just, it was just different. So I knew, I was like, all right, if someone wants me, they're going to have to want me.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be able to go in a room with 30 guys and then be like, all right, we'll take Nate. Like,
yeah,
it was.
You're not like in a room with a bunch of identical versions of yourself. You've got a specific thing. Yeah.
So I did realize that very early, and that's when I was like, you know what, I just kind of got on the road and did stand up, and I kind of figured if I could get stand up going as good as I can get it going, then I think I knew I was going to have to write and do stuff for myself if I wanted to get into this. Like whatever I'm a part of, I'm going to have to really be. I need to kind of steer it.
Yeah,
especially because I have so many restrictions with being dirty and like all these kind of things. So it's like I just didn't. I needed a lot in my hands, and so I just kind of just kept plugging away at stand up, and then able to build it up into kind of where it's at now. And then that's where TriStar and they came and we made this movie, and now you're able to kind of go forward. And now it's great because I can now go forward and really decide what I want to do. I want to do theatrical releases. I want of your
specials or of movies or both.
I hope maybe eventually on the specials, but the movies.
Yeah.
The movies you want to. I sell tickets, so like that's all. My world is selling tickets. And going to theaters, I loved going with my daughter. People love doing it. And so I kind of want to go the theatrical route now. And so it's able to kind of have a choice to do that.
Yeah.
Not that it's all going to be that, but it's like, you can have it. You can decide a little bit more because I'm not in such a rush, or I'm not, like just a working actor that needs work.
Yeah. You were talking about selling tickets as just an aside. Did you ever have to do the thing in New York where you're like trying to like hand out tickets to your stand-up special?
Oh, yeah.
Were you any good at that, like carnival barker?
That was terrible. Because it was this, I'm a little more outgoing now than I was back then, but back then, I was like it was just me and this accent in the middle of Times Square. Yeah. Just be like, hey, we've got a great comedy show. And people just grab your flyer and just drop it right in front of you.
It's
and then you just got to pick it up. Yeah.
It's got to be good training. Like somewhere in there, it's building character, even if it feels awful.
Yeah. Well, it's the first thing that you realize, like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So you kind of just, you're just like, it lights a fire under you because you're like, I can't. This can't be it.
Whatever I need to do, it's not this.
Yeah.
Universal Television's Hacks has earned 15 Emmy Award nominations, including Outstanding Comedy Series, Jean Smart for Outstanding Lead Actress, and Hannah Einbinder for Outstanding Supporting Actress. Hailed by RogerEbert.com as still the best comedy on television, and praised by TV Insider as brilliant, Hacks is for your Emmy consideration. So go back to Nate Land because, you're building this own thing and, you've talked about your other plans for it. And the way that you can build your own studio content creator stuff is so different from how it was 10 years ago or when, whenever it was you were first trying these pilots. Like how have you learned how to do that? Did you watch other people do it and say like, oh, I can have a whole thing that's like based on YouTube and it can be watched by more people than something that's on a network? Like when did you realize that was a path that made sense?
What's interesting is that the YouTube thing is, we're putting the specials on YouTube, which is, you realize how many people are watching that. But, it's like, what's great is it's the backstop.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. It's like YouTube, you can get it out. Not saying it's not, Mr. Beast and all these, their whole world, they're gigantic and they can do so much with it. I was someone that started stand-up before YouTube. So I'm just older in the fact that I saw both. I remember putting our videos on YouTube. We couldn't really fathom what YouTube was going to be where it is now back then. So I still like the traditional route. I still think TV is still a huge thing. It's, we have so many choices now. I think it's overwhelming. So I feel like you're going to eventually just dwindle down to kind of back to what TV was and all this kind of way. And so I still love the system of Hollywood and the way that, the traditional route of the way they did it. I still think that can get done and that should be done. So I still want to go that way. And then you have these you're just going to have different outlet points now. And the great equalizer is the YouTube, because it's like now as a creator, someone can create something and it goes, look, they're going to get it out. It's going to be seen and it can be bigger than whatever your show is too. So you're going to have to find that balance where what are you putting on YouTube and building that audience, and then also what are you trying to build it towards TV? I mean, I think still people, like if you have a special, you're going to still want it on Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's like you have them on YouTube and that's where they can be and they should be there. But I mean, I think everybody kind of wants to go towards Netflix and until it completely switches.
I mean, you've presumably seen, like you put something on Netflix and the fire hose, the amount of people, it's just crazy what you can get in front of.
It's just it's different. I mean, I don't always understand the YouTube views and the fact that there have these crazy views. And then I know it's a lot of people, but then you're like, can it be that? It's like,
or like, do they really watch it? Like, is it on in the background and they watch it walk away?
Yeah. There's music videos that have 5 billion views.
Yeah.
Where in theory, you think that person shouldn't be able to walk across the street. They should be the most famous person. Like everybody on earth has watched them. And so it's like, it's kind of a weird kind of balance where you're like, I think your TV views and the views where people essentially have to kind of go after a little bit. That's why buying a ticket, going to a movie theater. Like when they're a little more invested in that versus the other way.
Yeah.
And then when you go down to YouTube too, so you want to get creators that know how to create and they can learn on YouTube. But then I think we need to be better or the industry needs to be better to develop these people. And the young audience to let them learn how to develop into something that is more story driven, and they do not, we have to create content. You get in a content game, it's like, man, that's exhausting, and you got to do it every day, and and there's only going to be so many that make it. And so, it's like, but there's a lot of talent that you should be able to find, and then hopefully get them to be the next wave of TV writers and movie writers and actors and comedians or whatever.
Because there's something about the process of making a movie or making a show where you edit and you rewrite and you figure the thing out that's different from putting up a YouTube video every single day where you're just putting it out there. There's it sounds like that's part of what the old school Hollywood process that you like is there's a system.
Yeah. That's why I love a stand-up. That's why I love with an act is like when you come see me do stand-up, it's like I've worked this act for a year and a half in every show and hundreds of shows and you sit here and I fine tune it and whatever. So by the time you tape a special and someone sees it, it's like every word is placed where it needs to be placed. The order that I've told it in is told in an order that makes it feel this conversational. It's really something that you worked out. And I kind of came up like that. And now the way people are developing people, they're kind of encouraging them to where they got to do this crowd work. They got to go come out. They got to write all this stuff and they got to put up a new video and they got to get these followers. And I just don't think you're doing favors to that the next wave of entertainers. They need to learn how to. You got to give yourself
time to sharpen it.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And they need to be able to develop stuff. So it's like, you can't it's not fair to be like, well, you need followers or I'm not going to look into you. And then you're sending down the next generation down a wrong path where you want to go, how about you let them develop? How about you grab them and put them in your system and develop them and go like, here's how movies are made. Here's how this is made. And I think it just helps your industry. And then, the internet and stuff can be this wave of people getting in and learning to see if they like it. And maybe you're not getting someone so green because they've kind of done a little bit of it. And then you kind of train them in the next wait.
Well, yeah, you get people who kind of pop online, and you've presumably seen your version of this in the last couple of years. They're like, what do you want to do? We'll make whatever is the thing that you want to do. And you've had the practice of kind of knowing that. But if you're 25 and you have one thing go viral, like how in the world are you supposed to know what you want to do and if it'll be any good?
Yeah, half the time you don't even know why it went viral.
Yeah.
And that's why it's unreliable, because it's, that's why I don't understand, like, when the Hollywood world, when they go to after that, or they kind of in theory want to try to you can't make viral.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of, it's like no one really knows why it's viral. You see looks, there's memes of looks of just like an eyebrow raise. And it's like everybody's seen it. And you're like, well, how do you know that eyebrow raise is different than this person looking or that person looking or whatever it is? So it's like, yeah, take advantage of it. It's like, use it. If it happens, it happens, but you shouldn't be developing for it.
Maybe this is what I did. Just having a time of remembering the internet not existing. Like, this is an old person thing to say, but I'm just like, you just got to know. You got to know that there was a time when none of this was real and go back to it eventually.
Yeah. And I think you will. I think it's going to eventually
can revert back to channels. Yeah, it does feel like that. As we just start to wrap this up, to go back to the Emmys just for 1 second, when I think about like award show hosts, you think of like Billy Crystal. That's who I grew up with, like the song and dance, like a big thing, and that's not your style on stage at all. Are you just gonna kind of have the Emmy audience come to you? Do you feel any kind of pressure? Like, I assume there's not gonna be a musical number in there, but is there anything else where you look at kind of that model of award show host and think like, okay, what can I do that's like that?
Yeah, I mean, like Billy Crystal, like I love that. I mean, that's what I'm kind of doing in my career, is like where you kind of like, I like the idea of doing stand-up, a movie, hosting this award show, like kind of learning everything. And so you have the tools to kind of do it, but then I got to do just me in that world. And so, it's not like, I mean, I'm not making them come to me like I'm anybody special, but I will definitely do what I do and try to get them into that rhythm, because that's my best chance of making the show great. Yeah. Or having a good time and not bombing for the whole time of the Emmys. And then, so we have some very fun ideas, and it's trying to be like silly a little bit, and but understand like, it's how long people work on stuff. Look, I mean, I'm nominated for an Emmy. I understand. I get how hard it is and how long I've worked on it for that stuff, but also to be able to like have fun, be silly. This is the show. Yeah. We're entertaining. You want people to watch it. You want people to be entertaining. Yeah. It's not about me. It's about that audience at home. Yeah, that's good. And yeah, at the very end of the interview, saying congratulations on your Emmy nomination feels a little late, but congratulations on your Emmy nomination. Oh, thank you. No, yeah. That's why I said it. I was like, I can't believe she hasn't brought this up yet. Well, no, I'm going to introduce you as Emmy nominee. That's how you're like. That's going to say in your dressing room, right? Yeah. As Emmy nominee. Yeah. Yes, exactly. That does it for this special Saturday edition of the podcast. We'll be back with a regular episode next week, and still going strong on Prestige Junkie After Party. You can join us there for just $5 a month, see full video versions of the podcast, including this conversation, and get a bunch of bonus stuff as we head into fall festival season. You really won't want to miss it. This podcast is edited by Brett Fuchs and produced by Brett Fuchs and me. Our theme music is by Dave Gonzalez. Subscribe to the Prestige Junkie newsletter at theanchor.com and to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We will see you next week.